I'll need that for Kathy, so I'll leave it.
Okay, welcome back everybody. If you'd like to take your seats, please. Okay, do we all enjoy lunch? Lovely, beautiful day outside to get some fresh air. And we've got some really exciting things coming up this afternoon, which hopefully will keep us all out of the danger zone of the after lunch sleep. So we'll make sure we keep it inspiring for you. And to get us started this afternoon, we have Ellen, who will be talking about an update on RefX, the revised and new modules, and how you can use RefX at your library. Please welcome Ellen.
Hello and thank you. Just to let you know, it was actually going to be someone else talking about RefX, but you know, dire family situations do intervene sometimes. So you have me instead. So RefX has been going for several years now, and over the last year there have been some revisions to it. All the modules that exist have been looked at, and a new module has been added, thanks to suggestions which came out of a Reference and Information Services Group meeting at Auburn. Now, these are the people I'd like to thank for their sheer hard yards recently. These are the people who assisted with editing and re-editing the modules and with constructing the new technology reference module. So this is one of those risks. So when you list people, you go, oh, did I forget someone? So hopefully I have not forgotten anyone because this was really amazing work, and it was very, very helpful having people think about this differently. Because RefX has been around for a few years and it needed just a bit of updating. So we'll go into the live site so that I can actually talk you through the situation. So we're now up to to 13 modules. I know, who ever thought we would reach that after the first 6? And that's thanks to a lot of people who over the years have volunteered to write and update new modules. Now, the aim of this is reference training in your library, and there are different ways you can do it. You can do it as I'm really self-motivated, I'll talk with my supervisor and get them to support me through this. You can do it in small groups. It's also worked well done with revision for some long-term staff, because it's a refresher on what they know, but also it's getting everybody to appreciate each other's skills. So there are tips for supervisors at the top, which are basically how to think about using this in your library. And these are ways to interact. But also, if you go, actually, we did this one in my library and it worked really well, let me or someone on that list know, and we can edit the wiki. Or if you're so keen, I'm happy to help you learn how to edit the wiki yourself. This one's slightly harder to edit than Wiki Foundry, but trust me, it's still manageable. Uses the same editing software as Wikipedia. A lot of you are Wikipedia editors, so easy. So yeah, keep that in mind. So the suggestions for supervisors, and that's really, how do I manage it? There are, the new module is Technology Reference Services. This one, I also contacted Colorado State Library because they'd actually done some really brilliant stuff that we just wanted to go, hey, they've done some really brilliant stuff, but put it in a local context. So they were really thrilled. And so you will notice thank yous to Colorado State Library. So that's because they're a bunch of really nice folk who do some great learning things. And what this module looks at is really some of the elements that Kathleen was talking about earlier today, that it really is a technology reference interview. It's a reference interview with a technology edge. So as part of this, people are referred back to the module on the reference interview in case you need a refresher. Now you'll notice no pictures. That's because no one's provided pictures. So if you have a vaguely technology referencing related picture that you would like to share and you're happy with it being made available with Creative Commons licensing, you'll be acknowledged as the content creator, but it does, because of how this wiki software works, it does actually need to be Creative Commons. So you've got to feel comfortable with that. Email it through to me, because it would be lovely for this not to be lots of text. Now, some of the other parts of this aren't quite as much text, and there's also a really nice technology evaluation checklist where you go, I know this, I don't know that. Oh, really? No. It's a bit scary. What do I need to learn? And that again builds on the ideas that Kathleen was bringing earlier today. So this one has been updated. We have taken away some of the, what are now anachronisms, frankly, in some of the earlier modules, because reference keeps moving on. Now, when you're using it, and if you kind of go, oh, that's a bit weird, get in touch. Maybe it needs another update, because it has a kind of a thorough run through, edit from beginning to end, not once every 3 years, but other bits are updated as needed, as things change. So if when you're using it, you go, that's changed, get in touch, because then that will be contributing. And it might be that you're going, actually, I'd really like to update this section. This is just me being delusional. I'm an optimist. You know, maybe you really want to update that section. Fine, can work with you on that. Or if you think, actually, there needs to be a new module. You know, there are 13 modules. There actually needs to be, I don't know, module. Now, the thing is, suggesting a module comes with a few catches, because I will kind of say, right, so would you be interested in helping work on that? Because this has grown through a whole lot of collaboration over the years. The local studies and family history modules came very much from local studies working group. Children's and young adult staff worked, unsurprisingly, on the children's and young adult models. And similarly with the corporate library module. So I know it's a tension that if I'm saying you can't volunteer without wanting to do the work. No, you can suggest a module and not want to do the work. That's completely fine. But it's not going to happen until I have 2 to 3 volunteers who want to do it. So if you have a really good idea and don't want to do the work, I'd start spruiking it around to get other people interested so that they're prepared to work on a module. How long does it take? Well, scoping a new module takes anywhere from kind of half a day to a whole day. Then people go away and access a shared Google Doc to edit it, because great ideas come out in that half-day, but the words need to be made sound better. Or it might be, oh, we need something that sounds like. Well, that kind of can't go on the final wiki. So that's why it's tempting at times. So that's where Google Docs are really helpful, because people can edit together, comment on someone else's wording, or maybe someone's comment is, oh, look, we need something around this. I've put in these words, it doesn't sound right, but this is kind of the idea we're getting at. And then someone else will go, is this kind of what you're looking for here? So there's time in a face-to-face session, because scoping them the first time, face-to-face makes a difference. Fine-tuning the wording in between, that actually works quite well with Google Docs. Then the final session, usually about another day, is actually putting it online. So that's, people are learning how to use MediaWiki and actually doing any last fine-tuning, because there's some things that it's only when you're putting the navigation together you go, oh, actually we need to break it here, or we are actually missing a section. So if you want to volunteer something, you're kind of committing 2 days of your life or 2 days of somebody else's lives, and some indeterminate amount of time in between to do editing. So it's not super onerous. So if someone does have a 14th module, feel free to suggest. Please use this. We are running Google Analytics over this, and at the end of each module, there's a basic survey with asking for feedback. Now I'm just going to see if I can find. I added the surveys in yesterday. So using SurveyMonkey to just do a basic, what did you do? The reason there's a couple of spare dots down there is in SurveyMonkey you can't change parts of the survey once it started. I can add in words. So if we get a 13th and a 14th module, I can still use the identical Survey Monkey. I've got no idea if this is going to work. So how did you do it? And descriptions. What did I learn? Any comments about your module? What role do you have? So we kind of know who's doing this. And what ideas do you have for new modules? This could be a really dangerous comments box. I realise that. So it's really just to get a bit of feedback so we know how this is being used. Because it has been used quite effectively through New South Wales. At times it's used very well interstate. There was a stage when Mildura was the top user in all of Australia. That's lovely. So think about using this for your training, and if it doesn't quite fit the needs, give feedback, suggest changes. Or if you kind of go, that wording doesn't work, provide feedback. It's a wiki. It can be updated straight away. So if there was something really scary now, I could actually edit it now and it would be changed straight away. So keep it in mind, enjoy using it, definitely provide feedback. And I really do want to do a massive thanks to the people who did the hard work to make this possible because, yeah, just going to go back to their names. We have all the fun stuff, don't we? Because I think it is really important to acknowledge that these people really did amazing things so that we can all benefit from it. So big thank you to these people and enjoy RefX.
Thanks, Ellen. Actually, I think it's a good reminder. I just thought myself I should go back and make sure my staff remember that it is there, and we've got a couple of new staff starting, so I think it's a really great tool for people to work through. Next, we're going to hear from Theo Stevens from Manly Library. If anyone was at the last Switch conference, you'll remember we got a little bit of a sneak peek about what Theo's talking about, which is 3D and reference. So please welcome Theo.
Just a question, has anyone found a phone that isn't theirs? And have you handed it in to our security? So no one's found a missing phone? Okay, thank you. Thanks. No, just, yeah. Okay, yeah, and I'll just get that on the mic.
Hi everyone, I'm Theo from Manly Library, now the new Northern Beaches Council. And I'm here this afternoon to talk about a project that is underway at Manly Library. As Ellen mentioned, some of you might have seen some of it at Switch. It's a work in progress, and we've been learning as we go along the way. And today I'd like to give you a bit of background to the project and share some of what we've learned along the way. I'll be suggesting some of the ways in which this kind of software can be used to create new ways to engage with reference material. And I hope this short presentation will be practical to you. The tools we've used are freely available to, so this presentation I hope will inspire you to download the programs I talk about and think about ways in which you can use these technologies to reimagine the reference service. But very briefly, let's define what virtual reality is. Virtual reality can be defined as the use of technology to send information to our senses, sight, touch, even smell and taste, in a way that it tricks our senses into thinking that a digital environment is a real one, that we are present in the environment presented, whatever it might be. And it's essentially an immersive experience. And the real world is blocked out as much as possible. And it works because, as Jeremy Bevenson, the founding director of Stanford's Virtual Human Interaction Lab says, the brain hasn't evolved to tell you that it's not real. And companies are working on ways to trick all the senses, sense of touch, perception of sound, smell, and even taste, to contribute to really convincing immersive experiences. So when you're creating a virtual reality experience, you're essentially creating an alternate reality experience. I remember watching Star Trek, like probably you did, thinking, wouldn't it be cool, the holodeck? But it's now a reality, and the virtual reality experience is becoming increasingly sophisticated and widespread. Money is pouring into the development of virtual reality in ever-increasing amounts. According to research data from Statista, Hardware and software in the space pulled in an estimated $90 million worldwide in 2014. But in 2015, just 1 year later, this figure had grown to 2.3 billion in revenue. And by 2018, sales of virtual reality products are expected to reach $5.2 billion. We've all heard of and perhaps experienced the Oculus Rift headset, and you might think, well, I'm not going to shell out for one of those. And also for the powerful PC, you need to run it. But a key point to make here is that the virtual reality experience is accessible, very accessible. You don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on a special headset. If you have a smartphone, which most of us do, you can make your own virtual reality headset, such as this one. This is Google Cardboard, and the instructions are online that tell you how to make one. Or you can just buy one for $15, which is a bit of a rip-off, but that's what you pay. And then all you do is download the app for the viewer, and you can start to navigate your way through a virtual world. It's really fun. It may be that the proliferation of smartphones and cheap viewers such as these will drive the uptake of virtual reality, or at least whet the mass market's appetite for these kind of experiences. The gaming world is one of the main drivers of virtual reality development, but it's being used for all kinds of purposes: military, educational, science, fitness. And the boundaries are blurring between these sectors. And the bottom line is that the imagination really is the limit with virtual reality. If something is too expensive, too dangerous, too impractical to do in reality, then virtual reality might be a way to experience it. I'll be suggesting some ways in which we will be using virtual reality technology, but the exciting thing is that the imagination is the limit. And over the next few years, I'm sure we'll see libraries and communities coming up with all kinds of ways in which to reimagine our experiences of digital content and digital spaces. So how did this all start? We have a very talented colleague, Russell, who had been creating 3D models of parts of the library for his own practice and interest. With our manager's approval, he went ahead and modeled the entire library. And we thought that this new virtual library could become a home for the digital content that the library offers, all the ebooks, e-magazines, and online resources. The virtual library is essentially an immersive 3D website that provides a way for users to interact with and access existing digital content in a new way. When it's finished, it's going to be something new, something of interest that will attract attention. And so it will be a way to promote our digital collections, which are somewhat invisible to many of our patrons. Russell created the virtual library from scratch using Unity. It's a popular cross-platform game engine. The full Unity program can be used for free. However, for organizations with over $100,000 in revenue, you have to buy a license, a perpetual license, and it costs about $1,200. And if you Google Unity games, you'll see plenty on the internet. You download a plugin in the browser, and then you can play the game. And they're also designed to be viewed in a headset if you have one. So I'm going to play a clip of the exterior of the library. That's going to have to go. It's only when you try and create something as simple as a book that you realize just how much technical skill is involved in doing this. Russell recreated the library faithfully right down to pretty much every last brick, inside and out. And there's also the potential to commercialize this perhaps for the library by bringing in neighboring businesses, because he modeled them too. And you could say to the coffee shop across the road, or perhaps the sportswear store next door, our patrons could walk through your door and buy your things. So that's the outside. And now we're going to walk inside. You're looking at a 3D model on a 2D screen. So unfortunately, you're not experiencing the immersive feeling of being inside the virtual library, which after all is the point of being in a 3D environment. So earlier this year, I bought a pair of Google Cardboard glasses, and one of our, oh, that's the movie with me. You can actually, I'll talk about it a bit later, you can put a plugin that allows people to sit together in the room and watch the same virtual movie, which is pretty cool. So I bought some Google Cardboard glasses, and when you have the headset on, you can walk around the library. That's when it becomes exciting, because you can you really feel as if you're in it. So you can select the book, click on it, and it links through to the catalog, at which point you can download it. When we're ready to go live, and we're not there yet, we'll add the virtual library to Google Play as an app, which you then can download to your phone, and then you can view it on your headset, or you can just view it in your browser on your PC. Okay, we're heading up to level 1. As you notice, the shelves are a bit bare, and I'll come back to that and what we're doing for that. You can jump around by choosing the drop downs. You can jump to outside, jump down to the kids section, that kind of thing. So, understandably, because it was so exciting to suddenly experience the library in true virtual reality, we decided we're going to focus on creating the virtual library with headsets such as Google Cardboard in mind. However, using this new way of experiencing 3D environment created new problems, and to a certain extent revealed the limitations of connecting a 3D virtual world with 2D content on the web. For example, to select a book or resource in the virtual library on a PC, you just click on it with your mouse, which takes you to the resource on the OPAC, which you can then download and then read on your screen. I should play a video. This, you're looking at the Google Cardboard. You can see how that works without a mouse. You focus on an object, and then you have a little clicker which you click, and that gets you into the content, so you can see the content that way. As I'll explain later, this is we've been using this to activate content. So you're looking around, you see something of interest, little circle comes up, you click on it, and up comes the content. So yeah, with the headset on, you need a different means of activating content. And in this case, we use the technique as you see in this Google Cardboard app, where you focus on an object and then tap the side of the headset with a magnet, which acts as a mouse click. More sophisticated headsets have a button on the side that you can press. And it's the method we've used for 2 other projects, which I'll discuss in a moment. So now we're at the point where we're viewing the library inside the headset. Great. But then we immediately ran into the problem of viewing the ebook on the headset. This content doesn't need to be viewed in 3D. And for sustained activities, such as reading a book, it's going to be much more comfortable and practical to read on the device, as usual. So whilst it didn't seem that the content in the virtual library was best accessed on a headset, we had already been discussing 2 projects that we could start in which it would make sense to find and view content within a virtual environment. And so we started 2 side projects. The first is Manly Cemetery, the Manly Cemetery project. The idea is to create a model of the cemetery and then link the graves to content held by the library on the occupants of those graves. And the second is the Manly Library Bricks project. Manly Library for many years raised funds by allowing people to have personalized bricks laid in the forecourt of the library. Information relating to individual bricks was gathered and is held in the local studies section. So again, let's let users click on a brick and information about it will pop up on the screen or in the viewer. Great ideas, let's go. This is the point where we said, hang on, can anybody actually do what Russell did and create a complex model from scratch? The answer was no. At least nobody with enough free time to put in the hours required to learn these skills. So we looked around for ways to create a 3D environment without needing any real skills. Perhaps it wasn't even necessary to create a 3D model. Following this train of thought, our first idea was to take 360-degree video of the cemetery and then to somehow hotspot areas of the video to link it up to content on the web. This is something, well, at least the 360 video is what Google Business View program is, which is a good idea in its own right. But we haven't found a way to embed links into the video. Perhaps it's possible, so if anybody knows how to do that or figures it out, please let us know. The 360-degree video in its own right might be a good project for the cemetery, just so people can wander around, but they wouldn't be able to do anything apart from look. So next we looked at Google's Project Tango, which is well worth looking at if you have some spare time. It looks very promising. It's a platform that can create a virtual environment based on your real-time physical environment. So with a mobile phone or mobile device, you can scan a room or a building and it will create a virtual model for you. Except it doesn't appear to be available for download yet, at least not in Australia. And in the end, we decided to use a program called Autodesk 123D for the cemetery project. Autodesk 123D is a free software that you can download to your PC or your smartphone as an app. And the software guides you through the process of taking multiple photos of an object from 360 degrees, which it then stitches together and then processes to create a 3D model for you of that object. It's free and easy to use. So using Autodesk 123D, we took photos of a rather forlorn-looking grave, grave U359, the Nichols family of Manly, it's their burial plot. The headstone had been knocked over, but we knew that we had lots of materials relating to the Nichols family, so that's why we chose it. And we turned these photos into a 3D model very easily, which you can then import into Unity. It's built to be imported in. And then within Unity, you can link it up to the material you have for the grave, photos, marriage certificates. So now you can look at the grave and any material related to it pops up on the screen, just like in the Google app video you just saw. And even though the project is in its early stages, it really works, and it's fascinating to look at the grave and then look at the lives of the people in it. And this is what we're after, a way to link a place or a person or an object with reference material about it in a way that is truly engaging. Compare that to the way in which users currently find out information about the cemetery. At the moment, the user has to look up a name on a list of people on a PDF to see where they're buried. And then they find the plot on another PDF map of the cemetery. And I can tell you from personal experience, it's not easy to find the plot you're after. And then, if they're able to, because many inquiries are made by people overseas or interstate who aren't able to visit the cemetery, you go to the cemetery, look at the grave, or you contact the library for more information. So it's a new, practical and surprisingly enjoyable way of discovering digital content, information that might otherwise be held in vertical files for a particular person, object, or place. And the bricks work in exactly the same way. One of the bricks we found was inscribed Tony and Margie Abbott. So you can imagine which one we started with. As we model more graves and add content for each one, we'll link them up. And ultimately, the user will be able to wander around the graveyard in virtual space. And where there's content relating to a grave, view it on their headset or their PC. One problem with searching through the ever-increasing amount of digital content held by libraries such as ours is that often it's filed away in hierarchical folder structures. This is fine when the folders in question are well organized, but as we all know, things can get out of control. And whilst carefully structured hierarchies are essential from the organizational point of view, from the point of view of the person looking for the information, it perhaps doesn't offer the most intuitive way to discover content. Virtual reality offers a way to place digital content within the context of an environment. So it acts like a mnemonic device, helping the user to remember where something is and to retain more information about it. As an example, imagine the books on gardening are linked to a virtual garden. So you look at a cactus and all the books associated with this appear. Or that brick I was looking at the other day, I can't remember anything about it, but I remember it was over there by the bicycle rack. It's a great way of retrieving information. Virtual reality also offers a way to let users engage with material that otherwise would be too precious or fragile to handle, to take it home in effect. Much of the material with the designation of reference not for loan can be studied away from the library. Virtual reality has other uses, for example, training. A student could learn procedures and processes of the physical office without risking damaging anything or messing anything up. In fact, virtual reality is already being used to train students in laboratory settings, performing complex procedures and experiments. So you could use that in the library setting, training staff to use the circulation desk, the library management system, where you can correct mistakes or mistakes don't matter. You can rearrange the library's layout and see if it works before you actually do it. An important part of providing great reference service is making sure that the individual gets the information they need, and different individuals have different needs. In virtual reality, users can enter a world tailored for them. For example, primary school children doing a local history project have very different needs to an adult looking at the same subject. So the entry point can be designated and the content tailored. At the moment, navigating the virtual library is quite a solitary experience, as you will have noticed in the video. It's completely empty. There isn't anyone else in there. However, using technology such as VR chat, it is very easy to make any virtual space a social one. VR chat founder Jesse Jowdry believes that, quote, social VR is a feature, not a platform, i.e. something to be integrated into existing platforms such as Unity. And this is why VR Chat built a software development kit with a set of Unity scripts to help easily add social experiences to any VR experiences. So our existing library, we can add this in, and means multiple users can be in the library and interact with each other at the same time. So anyone visiting the library can create an avatar and connect with others in the virtual space in real time. There could be a reference librarian at the reference desk, for example, to help with reference inquiries. Or users within the space could connect with others who might be interested in the same material or who might be able to help locate something. Events such as author talks could be attended by people both in the real and virtual worlds. And VR chat has been used to deliver university lectures, for example. And we could do the same with library events. So where are we? With the main Manly Virtual Library project, we need to automate the process of creating the titles on the shelves, because creating virtual books one by one and linking them up to the catalogue is a labor-intensive process and unsustainable, ultimately. Because each book has to have an image attached to its cover and then has to be linked to the OPAC with a script. But using Python, we should be able to pull a script, create a script to pull the cover image and URL from the OPAC and link them to the empty shells of the books. So that process is our next step to automate that. And that's entirely possible. Jagori, our volunteer, is working on it at the moment. For the cemetery and brick projects, we've got everything working, and now it's about building the content. The library in the picture is the new Manly library, which we expect to see somewhere around 2020, I think. It's a reminder that everything is always changing, some things faster than others. Technological progress is relentless. And in a way, just to keep up with it, you have to imagine it. You have to imagine the future based on the tools that are already here. And if you can imagine it, you can bet that someone somewhere is already doing that. And we've found that all along the way. It's like, could we do that? Somebody's done it. In the case of virtual reality and augmented reality technologies, the tools are already here, and it's only a matter of time before they become part of our daily lives. Public libraries have very rich collections of material of value and interest to our communities. Hopefully the material isn't hidden away in filing cabinets or compactuses. Because the future is digital, we have a duty to present this information and these resources in a way that allows them to benefit the widest possible audience. Many of us are working hard to digitize as much of this material as possible. And I hope that today's presentation has shown that once material has been digitized, there are creative ways of using it and reusing it. It's also important to be aware that objects and events can be digitized in new and specific ways, which might affect how you plan to proceed. Say, for example, you have an elderly local author giving a talk at a library. They've told you that this is their last public appearance and that they'll be talking about their life in the local community. Well, this is something you might want to film in 360-degree high-definition video, so that down the track, people many years from now can get the feeling of what it was like to sit in the room and listen to the talk. I think that no matter what field you work in, virtual reality and augmented reality are going to have a big impact on it. They're going to become increasingly common aspects of our lives in the digital realm. Hopefully, we can do more than just keep up, and instead help lead this change and find new audiences for our resources. Thanks.
The slides weren't, we're doing something weird, so I'll just be a moment.